SA is involved in what we call the full life cycle of the standard, which includes pre-standardization, incubation of technology, looking at where early stages of technologies are starting to come on in some of the early discussions of just defining terms and definitions, through the development, as you mentioned, as our core competency, and then moving on to post-standards activities where we're doing certification and testing programs, part of the IEEE Conformity Assessment Program, which supports a full gamut of market acceptance once the standard's approved. So our take on it, being that we're a standards association, we feel they're very important. We have a biased viewpoint, but if that wasn't the case, standards are still very important. In order to grow the market globally in the smart grid and allow for interoperability of smart grid technology, standards are going to be a key component to allow that to happen and allow implementers, manufacturers, and integrators alike to be able to define and implement the new technology and the existing technology as the smart grid evolves. Well, we're seeing a lot of innovation. If you look at the things that are ongoing in Japan with their incident that just recently happened, the focus of getting off nuclear and less dependent on nuclear, the integration of renewables, whether it's large-scale wind farms or small PV generation equipment to microgrids. I mean, we're just seeing a lot of advancements of bringing that communication, the monitoring, the control, and be able to sense data and information and be able to allow the smart grid to evolve in technology spaces. So we're seeing a lot of growth, whether it's allowing existing technology for new application or new technology just being thought of to solve some of those issues. Absolutely. We have over 160 countries that are participating in the standards development arena. We have countries from Asia, from India, from the European group. So the more participation that we have, that allows the IEEE standards to take the regional inputs that are there, allow the consensus building process to happen on a global basis, which then lends it the ability to the market acceptance for a global standard. Absolutely. The policy that the Standards Association has is that there is no one SDO that can cover the full gamut of smart grid. And partnering is a key collaboration that we feel is necessary for the smart grid to evolve. And we have agreements that allow adoption of IEEE standards, joint development with other SDOs in the international community and such. So that gives us the benefit to help the global market grow and leveraging the partnerships that the IEEE Standards Association has with other SDOs. The message I want to communicate is that standards are very important to realize the smart grid potential, and that the IEEE Standards Association gives the industry an environment for collaboration and consensus building, and whether it's the incubation of technology to the actual standards development of the technology through the deployment of certification and testing and other market acceptance of the technology. So, we feel that the message that we need to convey and get out there is that standards are very important, and we're here to partner with the industry. The IEEE Standards Association works with a multitude of other organizations, internal and external. We leverage the expertise across the broad spectrum of the smart grid technology space, whether it's the Power and Energy Society developing power type standards, the Communications Society developing communications, whether it's narrowband communications, broadband communications, or the Computer Society leveraging the 802 family of standards to help implement the data and networking capabilities of the smart grid. And again, we're working with other organizations to help realize the implementation of smart grid, outside vendors, IEC, ISO, JTC1, other SDOs, government agencies such as NIST and the SGIP. We're involved with those organization as well. Again, the idea is that no one organization is going to cover the full gamut, although IEEE covers the broad spectrum of all the technologies needed. but there's still that partnership that is very crucial to make the implementation of the smart grid happen. That's a great question, and what we're doing is actually partnering with the IEEE society and technology spaces for the smart grid, and looking at long-term what the smart grid is going to look like, and providing a vision of the technology for each of those societies in communications, IT, power, control systems, and vehicles, and developing long-term visions that are looking beyond the year 2030, looking 30 to 40 years out, and trying to envision what the smart grid technology would look like for those specific societies and how it's going to evolve to get us there. So it's going to help leverage and give the IEEE and the industry the ability to see a potential of the vision of the smart grid and the technology that's going to be needed to get there.